I was crossing Maple Street Bridge the night my life restarted, window up, mind locked, when a thin cry slipped through like a splinter. You can't ignore, so I told Marcus to pull over, stepped into the cold, and followed that sound under the concrete. In the shadows was a little girl in a torn pink dress, clutching two bundled babies like they were the last warm thing on earth, and the second, she looked at me and whispered, "Please don't chase us." The armor I'd been wearing since my daughter died, cracked all the way through. I said my name, asked. Hers told her I was not leaving, and when she said, "Please don't sell us, please don't leave us," I felt the floor drop out, because I had heard a version of that plea in a hospital a year earlier, and I failed then, but I was not failing now. I knelt, hands open, told her the only truth that mattered. "I'm going to carry one of your brothers and get you somewhere warm, okay?" And Lena, 6 years old and shaking, let me lift Theo while she held Noah like a shield, and we climbed out of that dark like people who had decided to keep breathing. Riverton General took them in. A young doctor said they'd be fine with food and care. The nurse asked if I was family, and I signed the forms the way you sign when someone's drowning. Messy fast, no hesitation, because sometimes responsibility just picks you. Bringing 3 children home at 2 in the morning was not a plan, it was a pulse. And when we pushed into the living room, Grace stood there in a blue robe with grief written in the shoulders, saw the kids, saw me, and something in the air went tight. "What have you done?" she asked. Voice calm the way thunder feels before it hits, and I said, "I heard a cry," which sounded small even to me, and she stared at Lena, then at the babies on our couch, and the name we don't say in our house hung between us like a lit match. Lena tucked herself into the corner, whispered she could leave if we didn't want them, and if you're wondering what broke first, it was not the marriage. It was the wall we had built to keep pain from moving in, because nothing knocks harder than a child who promises to be quiet while freezing in the dark. We made a nest in the guest room. I sat in a chair until Lena's eyes lost the fight and closed. Grace stood in the doorway for a long time, like a sentry at a door she wasn't sure she could open. And in the morning she stirred a pot of oatmeal like it owed her money, slid a bowl to Lena without looking up, and Lena whispered, "Thank you," so soft. I almost missed it. I thought the worst had passed. Yeah, that happened. Then the city found us by lunch. Ty Wolf, our tabloid star in a denim jacket, posted a shaky grocery clip of a little girl slipping a box of formula into a bag, plastered with Ethan Hale's secret daughter thief, like scandal is a sport, and phones lit up the boardroom like Christmas. I told the directors it was a lie. They told me lies don't move markets, but scandals do, and one of them used a voice I reserve for people who step on my foot and blame my shoe. "Ethan, a CEO, is not a philanthropist." And I said, "A human being is," which did not rate well with men who measure oxygen in basis points. The clip wasn't random, it was planted. And while we were cleaning oatmeal bowls across town, a lawyer named Colton Price and a widow-turned-new wife named Sabrina Vale were moving money and favors like chess pieces. Because Lena and her brothers were tied to an estate Sabrina wanted scrubbed, and making me look like a liar was their favorite shortcut. Family court called with a hearing date. Reporters camped on the sidewalk. And that night, Lena tried to leave through the back door, you know what I mean. The quiet kind of leaving that hurts the most. The latch clicking, like a little decision, that changes an entire map. And Grace got there first, knees on the floor, hands hovering like she was approaching a wild bird. "You are not breaking our house, sweetheart, stay." And the word "please" came out like a bridge being rebuilt, plank by plank. The next morning we did what you do when liars get loud. We gathered receipts, which in our case was a visit to a hole-in-the-wall office above a bakery where a forensics guy named Jasper lives on burnt coffee and pixel shadows, and inside of 5 minutes, he pointed at a broken shadow, a frame splice metadata that didn't match certified, that Ty's clip was doctored and printed the truth like it had been waiting to be believed. Court day arrived, beige and noisy. The judge had that voice that makes you sit up straighter, and Colton rolled the fake video on a big screen and called an orphanage director to lie with a straight face. I saw the girl hit the baby, and Lena stood tiny and shaking. I never hit my brothers, I only keep them warm. And her voice broke on warm, which is how you know a room still has a pulse. Colton smirked about feelings not being evidence. Grace said, "Lucky for you, we brought evidence." Jasper walked in like a pizza delivery guy and served up splice points and time code mismatches. The judge leaned forward, the pens stopped scratching, and then the back door opened, and Ms. Agnes Cardigan, older than the courtroom carpet, said she watched Sabrina throw those kids out in the rain while their father shut the door, and the oxygen changed, because when an old neighbor tells the truth, it resets a room. The subpoenas landed the next day. The money trail from Sabrina to the orphanage and to Ty's company wasn't even subtle. Colton got the walk of shame in cuffs with his tie still perfect. Sabrina melted down in a patrol car about revenge, which is how you know you were never the hero, and the city turned, as cities do, loud, then loud in the other direction, and Ty stared at a camera on live TV and said he was sorry, with all the charisma of wet cardboard. Alan, the kid's father, met us on the courthouse steps without a lawyer, or whiskey eyes red, like a man finally waking up. "Lena, kiddo, I'm sorry." And Lena tucked behind my arm and said, not sharp, just simple, "I have a dad now. And if you're asking whether that sliced him open, yes, but sometimes consequence is the only clean blade left." The judge's order landed in legalese that boils down to this: the children were unsafe there and safe with us, and our house once so quiet. It rang, learned the sounds. It was built for cereal bowls, clinking, the twins inventing reasons to laugh, Grace's breath coming all the way down for the first time in a year, and me sleeping without checking the doorway every hour to make sure the dark hadn't moved in again. The victory wasn't the paper, it was Tuesday at 4 p.m., in the little study that used to be a storage closet. Lena pressing the pencil too hard, the letters walking off the line, and Grace guiding her hand. Everybody starts somewhere, and Lena whispering, "Thank you, Mom," like the word had been waiting behind her teeth, and Grace pulling her close without reaching for a tissue, because some tears need to land where they land. The school essay night came with bad auditorium lighting and a banner that said, "My Dream Home," and Lena stood at the mic with a paper rubbed soft at the corners. My dream home doesn't need fancy cars. It needs a mom and a dad, and one dinner. Nobody has to steal from a door that doesn't lock a little girl in the rain, a place that keeps brothers warm. And the room didn't clap to be polite, it stood because sometimes a child tells the truth for all of us. Years shifted, the twins grew into noise and art. Lena into the kid who looks others in the eye, when the world looks past them. She told me she wants to be a lawyer because Jasper got to stand up with facts and make a lie shrink, and I told her she already does that with her stubborn kindness. We still keep a photo of the daughter we lost on the shelf by the window, and when Lena asked about her, I told the truth, not to hand her our sorrow, but to open a door in our home, and she hugged my middle and said, "You still have me," and that line lives in my ribs now. So here's the piece people argue about. Was I reckless to bring them home that night? Did Grace fail by slamming the door before she opened her arms? Do we owe our love more to blood or to promises? And in a country that worships hustle, how often do we turn up the radio so we don't hear the cry under the bridge? You want my take sometimes. Grit is a warm bowl and a door that stays open when it rains. Sometimes the bravest thing you do is stop the car. Tell me what you think, right or wrong, who paid enough and who didn't pay at all. whether Ty deserves a second chance or Alan does. Drop your story about the day you misjudged someone and had to swallow your certainty. And if this moved something in you, like subscribe, share it with the one friend who still believes truth can outshout a lie. Then tell me in the comments what you would have done on Maple Street Bridge, because that's the question that keeps me honest every time I hear a sound I can't ignore.